the boat, we were mostly virgins. We had long black hair and flat white feet, and we were not very tall. Some of us had eaten nothing but rice gruel as young girls and had slightly bowed legs, and some of us were only 14 years old and were still young girls ourselves. Some of us came from the city and wore stylish city clothes, but many more of us came from the country, and on the boat, we wore the same old kimonos we've been wearing for years, faded hand-me-downs from our sisters that had been patched and redyed many times. Some of us came from the mountains and had never before seen the sea, except for in pictures, and some of us were the daughters of fishermen who had been around the sea all our lives. Perhaps we had lost a brother or father to the sea, or a fiancé, or perhaps someone we loved had jumped into the water one unhappy morning and simply swum away, and now it was time for us, too, to move on. Hi guys, I'm back again, and I'm here to do a review of The Buddha in the Attic. Okay, now, the little section that I read to you was actually the very first paragraph of The Buddha in the Attic. Now, this is a very small, interesting book about Japanese sort of mail order brides. So these are young girls aged anywhere from, like we heard, 14 to, 20 something, that have been purchased by men living in the US who are Japanese American. Now, this was my book club in Normandy's read for this month of December. And I enjoyed this one after much thought. In the beginning, I was a little distant, and I think that bugged me throughout the novel. That's the thing that didn't really capture me, was the fact that I felt distanced throughout this book. Now, it's my first Julie Otsuka book, but in this one, she does some really interesting things. So the first thing she does is she uses the first person plural as the main voice in the book, which is her way of giving the collective voice of these young Japanese women that were meant to be wives for these men over in the US, these young women going into something that they don't really know where they're going. You know, they only know the things that they've heard, and you know how it is when you hear things about where people are abroad, it's always super exaggerated, whether it be good or bad. So her utilization of the we is quite a powerful tool, because what she's doing is she's telling us that collectively these women have gone through this experience of having to be bought as a wife and sent over to the US. But at the same time, she's saying that every story is not the same. And so that's why the we comes in really well. And then she does something else in here, which is she uses throughout the book, there are phrases that are in italics. And those phrases are like the things that you would really hear someone say. And those are peppered throughout the novel as well. So the novel is very short. It's only 129 pages. At least my edition was only 129 pages. This is a hardcover tiny edition. This is the Fig Tree edition from Penguin Books. And the book is basically separated into chapters. So each chapter kind of gives you a quick insight onto what exactly it is we're talking about here. And if you know anything, so you know that the Japanese Americans during World War II were all rounded up. They lost all of their property, most of their belongings, their jobs, everything, their money in the bank, everything. And they were made to live in these internment camps, which were in the desert. And so that's how, you know, she's kind of leading up to that event, which everybody kind of knows about that event now, I think. But what this focuses on is the women and their plight. What happens to these various different women when they finally get over to the US to meet their husband that has actually paid their hard-earned money to get themselves a suitable wife. And a suitable wife means a lot of things. I mean, a suitable wife can mean someone who can work next to me in the field, someone who's going to bear legitimate children for me, especially boys. A legitimate wife is someone who's going to cook and clean for me, etc., etc. So as we go through the novel, each chapter then has us learn about the different things, different types of lives that some of these young Japanese women are living. And then it also starts off with them on the boat. So we see how they interact on the boat and the things that they're thinking and what's happening and what happens to some of the women. So this book is a short one, but like I said, it's has some really good points to it. But the thing for me that I didn't like was the fact that I felt so distanced from them. But there are some powerful scenes in here that kind of get you here, especially if you're a woman. So you kind of know life as a woman in this time period was not nice for anyone. A white woman, a black woman, an Asian, nobody. Marriage was like a kind of contract. It was almost like your husband owned you to a certain extent because you weren't allowed to have anything of your own. So that's all I have to say about this. This is just like a quick little review. Yeah, I would highly recommend it. I think I gave it 3.5 stars. And I think that's mostly because of the distancing that I felt from the collective we. I think I would have, to use the we effectively, I would have made the we be a real chorus. And I would have had us connect with maybe 2 women who are living 2 different types of lives once they arrive in the States. And within those stories, I would have interjected this we chorus throughout the story. I think it would have given made me feel more attached to the book than I actually was. That's just me. But I feel like this is a book that you should actually read. It's a very good book. So now I'm interested in reading something else by Julie Otsuko, and I'm thinking about maybe reading her new one, or maybe I'll go back and look and see if I can get another backlisted book before I embark on her new book. Although her new book actually does entice me because I really like swimming a lot. So yeah, so this is my review of The Buddha in the Attic. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for another Vlogmas video tomorrow. Bye.